The water from the pump hits my face and every thought I had 2 seconds ago is gone. There is nothing in my head except the cold. It comes up from the well at maybe 50 degrees any time of year, winter or summer. When it hits the skin between my forehead and my jaw, the body does something I did not understand for most of my life. The heart slows, the breathing catches and then deepens. The shoulders that were carrying the morning tightness let go all at once. And by the time I wipe my face with my sleeve and open my eyes, something has shifted that I could not shift on my own. If I sat in a chair and tried for an hour, Ruth says the sound I make when the water hits could wake every cow in the barn. She is probably right. But the water is doing something inside my chest that no amount of willpower or deep breathing or sitting quietly has ever done as fast or as completely. And I want to show you what it is. You wake up stiff. The shoulders are tight before your feet hit the floor. The mind starts running through the day before you have left the bedroom, and by the time you reach the kitchen, there is already a weight in your chest that has nothing to do with anything that has happened yet. It is just the body bracing for the day, the way it has been bracing for years. And you have gotten so used to the bracing that you do not notice it anymore. You notice the coffee helps for a while. You notice that the hot shower feels good but does not change anything underneath. The muscles loosen in the warm water, and for 10 minutes the morning feels softer, and then you step out and dry off, and the tightness comes back as if the shower never happened. The heat did not reach the thing that was tight. It reached the muscles around it and fooled you into thinking the problem was solved. You notice that by 10 in the morning the weight is back and the day has barely started. The jaw is clenched and the neck is stiff. The breathing is shallow without you deciding to breathe shallow, because the body is in a state of readiness that never got the signal to stand down. That state has a name the researchers use, but I think of it more simply as a door that is stuck open. The alarm door opened when you woke up, and nothing in your morning closed it. Not the coffee, and not the shower. Not the quiet 5 minutes you spent scrolling through the news before the day started. The door stayed open, and the body stayed braced. By noon, you are tired in a way that has nothing to do with physical work. The tiredness comes from a system that has been running at full alert since 6 in the morning. With no one to tell it, the day is safe. My name is Yoder, and I am Amish. I farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. In the last video, I showed you how the dark brings sleep when you stop fighting it. Today, I want to show you what happens when cold water hits the skin of your face. That one shock does something to your body that no hot shower and no morning coffee has ever been able to touch. Before I go further, for the folks who want everything I have taught on this channel in one place, I have put it together in a book. The link is in the description. I will not push it again. An honest word first, because this one matters. I am not a doctor. If you have a heart condition, blood pressure problems, or any condition that affects how your body handles sudden changes in temperature, talk to your doctor before you try this. Cold water on the face causes a real physical response, and for most people that response is safe and beneficial, but for some people it needs to be approached carefully. I will not have you passing out at the sink because you did something your heart was not ready for. Start gently. Cool water first, not ice water. Let the body learn what is coming before you give it the full cold. And I will be honest with you about why nobody in the business of selling you comfort has ever suggested you put cold water on your face in the morning. That part comes later, so stay with me. Now, what happened to my body at the pump this morning is something the researchers have a name for. They call it the dive reflex because it is the same response that fires when a person dives into cold water face first. The body has carried this reflex for as long as humans have existed, and every mammal on the planet has some version of it. When cold water touches the skin of your face, particularly the forehead, the cheeks, and the area around the nose and eyes, the body triggers an automatic response that you cannot produce on purpose, no matter how hard you try. Your heart rate drops. Not because you told it to, and not because you took a breath and counted to 10. The cold on your face sent a signal down that long nerve I showed you in the humming video, the one that runs from your face to your chest. The cold water is the strongest natural trigger that nerve has. Stronger than humming, stronger than singing, stronger than any breathing exercise a therapist has ever taught you. The water hits the face and the nerve fires, and the body shifts in a matter of seconds. It is not subtle. You feel it happen the way you feel a door slam. Except the door is inside your chest and it just closed on the alarm system that has been running since you opened your eyes. I have done this every morning of my life. My father did it before me, and his father before him. The pump handle by the barn is the first thing any of us touches in the morning. The water that comes out of it is cold every day of the year because it comes from deep enough underground that the seasons do not reach it. In January, the handle has frost on it, and the water is so cold it makes your fingers ache if you hold them under it too long. In July, the water feels the same because the well does not know what month it is. The cold is constant, and the body's response to it is constant, and every man and woman in my community starts the day with that response, whether they know the science behind it or not. Here is what happens inside the body after the initial shock settles. The blood vessels in your face and your hands constrict, which pushes the blood toward your core, toward your heart and your lungs and your organs. The heart slows and the blood pressure stabilizes at a level that is lower and steadier than it was before the water hit. The stress hormone that had been building since you woke up drops measurably. The inflammation markers in your blood come down, and the part of your nervous system that handles rest and digestion and repair switches on with a strength that no gentle technique can match at that speed. This is why the cold works differently from the warmth. A hot shower relaxes the muscles on the surface, but the hot water does not reach the nerve. The warm signal tells the body that the environment is comfortable, which is pleasant, but has nothing to do with shutting the alarm off. The cold signal reaches the nerve directly because the nerve evolved to respond to cold water on the face as a survival mechanism. When your ancestors dove into cold water to hunt or to cross a river, the body needed to slow the heart and conserve oxygen instantly. That reflex is still in you. It fires every time cold water touches the skin of your face, and it does not care whether you are diving into a river or standing at a kitchen sink in your pajamas. Researchers who study this have found that people who do regular cold water exposure on the face and the body show better tone in that nerve over time. That tone is a measure of how well that long nerve is working, how quickly it can shift the body from alarm to rest when the danger passes. A person with strong vagal tone recovers from stress faster, sleeps better, digests food more efficiently, and carries less of the chronic inflammation that builds up in a body stuck in alarm mode. The cold water trains the nerve the way walking trains the legs. The more you use it, the stronger it gets, and the stronger it gets, the faster the body can come down from whatever wound it up. My grandmother washed her face with pump water every morning of her life. I have mentioned her in earlier videos doing this on the porch, and I told you she did it because that was simply how the morning started on this farm. What I did not tell you then is what her body looked like, 80. Her blood pressure was steady and low. Her hands were warm even in winter, which is a sign of good circulation that the researchers use as a marker for vascular health. She slept well. She digested well. She rarely got sick. And she carried a steadiness about her that I have never seen in anyone who did not spend time in the cold every day. The doctor in town could not explain her numbers. She could not explain them either. She did not know she was training the nerve every morning. She just knew the cold water on her face made the day start right, and she never once skipped it. Before we go on, for the folks who want help putting these old ways into their daily life, Ruth and I have put together a community where we walk through all of this together. The link is in the description. Now, here is the part that matters for the folks watching this who carry the kind of inflammation that shows up in blood work but never gets a name. The low-grade, constant, simmering inflammation that the researchers now believe is behind most of the chronic conditions that build up after 50. The stiff joints in the morning. The soreness that does not come from exercise. The fatigue that sleep does not fix. The blood markers that your doctor watches and frowns at without being able to tell you exactly what to do about them. That inflammation is the body's alarm system refusing to shut it off. The system that was designed to fire for a few hours when you cut yourself or caught a cold has become permanent. It runs in the background the way a furnace runs in winter, burning fuel and producing heat the house does not need. Over months and years, that heat damages the walls. The blood vessels stiffen and the joints ache. The immune system, which should be saving its energy for real threats, wastes it on a false alarm that never ends. Cold water on the face interrupts that cycle. It does not fix it in one morning, but it sends the calming signal down the nerve, and the calming signal tells the inflammation to stand down, and if you do that every morning for a few weeks, the baseline starts to shift. The chronic inflammation drops because the nerve that controls it is getting a daily reminder that the alarm can be turned off. The researchers who measure this have found that regular cold exposure produces measurably lower inflammation markers over time. Not dramatically lower, not cure level lower, but enough that the body starts to feel different in ways the blood work confirms. I will be plain about the limits. Cold water on the face will not fix a disease you already have. If your doctor has you on medication for inflammation, for blood pressure, for your heart, do not stop taking it. What the cold water does is give the nerve a signal it was built to receive and has not been receiving. Over time, that signal changes the body's resting state from alarm toward calm. That is a meaningful shift for a body that has been braced for years. But it is one piece of a larger life, and I will not have you treating it as a replacement for the care your doctor is already providing. What I will tell you is what I have watched happen in my own body over decades of starting the morning this way. The cold does not just reset the alarm in the moment. It changes the way the alarm works over time. My resting heart rate is lower than the doctors expect for a man my age. My blood pressure does not spike when something goes wrong on the farm the way it did when I was younger. When the stress comes, and it comes every day because farming is not a gentle trade, the body handles it and comes back down faster than it used to. The nerve that controls that response has been trained by the cold every morning for 40 years. The way a muscle gets trained by the work it does every day. It is stronger now than it was when I was 20, which is the opposite of what the doctors tell you should happen as you age. Researchers would say my vagal tone is high. I would say the cold water taught my body how to let go. It practices letting go every morning at the pump. After 40 years of that practice, the letting go happens faster and more completely than it did when I was young. There is no supplement that builds this. There is no machine that trains it. There is only the cold and the nerve and the time it takes for one to teach the other what the body already knew but had forgotten. Remember what I said at the start about the people who sell you comfort, never suggesting you put cold water on your face. Here is why. A hot water heater costs $500 to $2,000 and runs every day of your life. The energy to keep it running costs $30 to $50 a month, which comes to somewhere between $3,600 and $6,000 over 10 years. The hot shower it provides feels good, and I am not going to tell you to stop taking hot showers because that would be foolish, and you would stop listening to me. But the hot shower does not activate the nerve. It does not trigger the dive reflex. It does not lower inflammation or reset the alarm system. It feels good because warmth feels good. And there is nothing wrong with feeling good, but the body does not receive what it needs from the warmth. The cold is what the nerve responds to, and the cold is what has been engineered out of every modern morning. A cold plunge tub costs $3,000 to $10,000. The wellness industry has taken something the pump handle does for free and put it in a stainless steel basin with temperature controls and LED lights and a monthly filter subscription. Cryotherapy sessions cost $50 to $100 per visit, 2 or 3 visits a week, and the facility charges you to stand in a cold chamber for 3 minutes while a technician watches through a window. Anti-inflammatory supplements cost $20 to $50 a month. Over 10 years, that is somewhere between $2,400 and $6,000 for a bottle that tries to do from the inside what the cold water does from the outside in 30 seconds. The pump handle on my farm cost nothing. The well was dug by my great-grandfather. The water comes up cold every morning at no charge, and the nerve it activates has been responding to cold water since before the first human walked upright. The entire cold wellness industry is selling you access to something that falls out of your faucet if you turn the handle the other direction. I am not telling you there was a meeting where the comfort industry decided to keep you warm. I do not believe in that kind of thing. But every company that sells you heated water, heated air, heated seats, and heated floors profits from the fact that you never touch the cold anymore. The modern morning has been engineered for comfort from the moment the alarm sounds. The heated house, the hot shower, the warm car, the climate-controlled office. Every surface between your bed and your desk is maintained at a temperature your body finds pleasant, and that pleasantness is the problem. The nerve that needs the cold never receives it. The dive reflex that would reset your system never fires. And the alarm state that should have been shut off at the pump handle stays open all day because nothing in the heated world told it to close. Your grandparents washed with cold water because they had no choice. Their bodies received the nerve signal every morning as a result, and their blood pressure, their inflammation, and their steadiness reflected it. You have a choice your grandparents did not have, and the choice is to turn the faucet 1 inch to the left. Your doctor is a good person inside a system that has no billing code for cold water on the face. The system pays for blood pressure medication at $15 to $60 a month and inflammation panels at $200 per test. There is no code for what the pump handle does at 5 in the morning, and there never will be, because the pump handle does not send a bill. My grandfather stood at that pump every morning for 60 years. In January, he broke the ice off the handle with his fist before he pumped, and the water came up so cold it took your breath. He did not flinch. He cupped it in his hands. He brought it to his face, and he held it there for a count of 5 before he wiped his eyes and went to work. At 80, he could still split a cord of wood in an afternoon. His recovery from illness was faster than any of his English neighbors, and he carried a calm about his work that I have only ever seen in men whose mornings begin with something that wakes the body all the way up before the first task starts. Every man in my district does some version of this, whether they know the science or not. Some wash at the pump like my grandfather. Some splash their faces at the hand pump in the kitchen. The farrier who shoes our horses runs cold water over his hands and wrists every morning before he picks up his tools. He told me once that his hands work better all day when he starts them cold. Ruth washes at the basin with water cold enough to make her catch her breath every time. The children splash each other at the pump trough in summer and come in with their faces red and their eyes bright. They do not know that the shrieking and laughing is the dive reflex doing its work on their small bodies, just as it does on mine. They think they are playing, but the body knows better. The cold is woven into the morning, the way the light is woven into the morning. And nobody thinks about it because nobody here has ever lived without it. It is as much a part of waking up as opening your eyes. The men come in from the pump with water dripping off their chins and a look in their eyes that I can only describe as awake in the way that coffee tries to make you awake but never quite manages. The cold wakes the body from the inside. The coffee wakes the mind from the outside. The body's waking goes deeper and lasts longer. Every farmer I know who starts his morning at the pump will tell you the same thing if you ask him, though none of them will use the word nerve or reflex. They will just say the cold water clears the head, and they will say it the way they say the sun comes up in the east. It is too obvious to need an explanation. So here is what I want you to do tomorrow morning. One thing and nothing else. After you wake up and before you do anything else, walk to the sink and turn on the cold water. Let it run until it is as cold as the pipes will give you. Cup it in your hands and bring it to your face. Hold it there. Let it cover your forehead, your cheeks, your chin. Breathe through the shock. The first second is the hardest, and by the third second, the body has already begun its response. Do this 3 times. 3 handfuls of cold water held to the face for a count of 5 each time. The whole thing takes less than a minute. Do not start with ice water. The tap is cold enough. Start there and let the body learn the signal before you ask anything harder of it. The first morning you will want to pull away. That is the alarm system doing what it has always done when the cold arrives, and the pulling away is normal. Stay with it. The second handful is easier than the first because the nerve has already begun its work by then, and the body is no longer surprised. By the third handful, the settling has begun, and you will feel it in your chest before you feel it anywhere else. After a week of cold tap water in the morning, try making it colder by letting the tap run longer before you cup it. After 2 weeks, you can add ice to a bowl if you want to, though the tap water is enough for the nerve to do its work. The point is the cold on the face, not the suffering. This is not a test of willpower. It is a signal the body recognizes and responds to whether you are brave about it or not. You will feel something within the first 3 mornings that is difficult to describe, a clarity that the coffee does not give you, a settling in the chest that the hot shower does not provide. The bracing you carry from the moment you open your eyes will loosen in a way that surprises you, because you have been carrying it for so long that you forgot it was there. The cold water reminds the body that the alarm can shut off, and for many people that reminder is enough to change the whole shape of the morning. After a week, the shift becomes part of the day rather than a surprise. You will stop dreading the cold and start expecting the clarity that follows it. The gasp that felt like a shock on the first morning will feel like a door opening by the 10th. Your body learns the pattern quickly because it recognizes the signal, the way a horse recognizes the sound of the gate opening before feeding time. The nerve knows what the cold means, and it responds faster each time. And the settling that took 30 seconds on the first morning takes 10 seconds by the second week. After a month, the changes are in the blood work, whether you feel them or not. The inflammation markers that your doctor watches will shift. The blood pressure that spikes in the morning and takes an hour to settle will begin to settle before you finish drying your face. The stiffness in the joints that used to take until noon to loosen will loosen before breakfast. These are not dramatic changes. They are the quiet kind, the kind that show up in numbers before they show up in feelings, and the kind that compound over months the way interest compounds in a bank account that nobody touches. Once you have felt that shift, once you have stood at the sink and felt the body let go, everything I have shown you on this channel will feel like pieces of one truth. The light, the dark, the ground, the trees, the food, the walking, the humming, the cold, one life, lived the way the body was built to live it. Tell me in the comments if you tried the cold water this morning and what you felt when the first handful hit your face. I want to hear it in your own words. I read every single one. Next time, I am going to show you what happens to your body when you use your hands the way my family uses them every day for everything. There is a reason grip strength is the single best predictor of how long you will live, and the reason has nothing to do with the gym. What your body needs has not changed in 10,000 years. Only what they sell you has changed.